Alrighty, hello everybody and welcome back to 1K World Cup 2025 presented by Joke. We have one final match left to round out this round of 20 and it is going to be the United States against Sweden. We've had a few other United States teams, but this one is the United States and oh boy, this is going to be a match and a half. As always, my name is Eric Sunday commentating. Commentating alongside with me will be Sparky. How's it going, Sparky?
It's going absolutely fantastic. Cutting a little close to get in here, but thankfully I managed to make it here before the actual countdown finished. But that's beside the point. Like you mentioned, final match of the weekend had some pretty interesting results already. Not a lot in terms of major stipulations, all the elimination matches where we got rid of the we kind of trimmed the fat a little bit, went from 20 down to 16. That's been locked in. All that's left between these two rosters is, are the seedings going to stay the same for these two? We've already seen one major flip already with Mexico taking down China yesterday. The 10th seed and 3rd seed actually flipping around, shaking up the bracket a little bit. Can Sweden actually pull off the upset against this United States roster, who, as you mentioned, are basically the de facto A team, essentially for the best one key players in the United States, basically running it back for a second go at trying to do some damage in this tournament. Had a good run last time the 1K World Cup came around, but gonna see if they can better their performance from last year.
Yeah, and I mean, we are seeing some changes to that United States pool, of course. Seeing some of the more cracked one-key players, Sleepy Maddie, Sidosis, and Basil, all need no introduction, although Basil, I believe, made their debut, actually, I think, in the last year edition of 1K World Cup, while Sleepy Maddie and Sidosis have been around for quite a bit. Sidosis, actually the champion of Joke 2, went under the name LS Ham, but now changed their name to Sidosis. So, and then seeing a new player, Era Dev, although I have not seen them play one key at all, they are one of the United States top players in Oceania in general when it comes to the 4-key scene. So, bit interesting seeing them tagging along. Maybe their 4-key skills can correlate over to 1-key, but hey, also the Swedish team consisting of a lot of mainly some Mania players that I have heard of before, but I actually not seen them perform in 1-key, so it'll be a bit interesting on how this match will go.
Absolutely. So for right now, looks like man, things go by so much faster in this iteration. No bans, no warm-ups, so we kind of just get straight into the action, and it looks like they're going to go for the fan pick here, Patirage's iteration of Icicles. Not a common sight here in this round. It is, dare I say, maybe a half step harder than some of the rice picks in this map pool, considering it has some hybridy elements as well. I guess just the interpretive jazz is a little bit too much for some folks to get down comfortably. No surprise, it is very tricky to deal with, and in a team environment, definitely want to ensure that you're not putting yourself under too much pressure. But with the United States picking this first, I imagine they are very well equipped. It's going to be Maddie and Basil going up against Diamond Blaze and Neon on the other side. Let's see how they do.
Yeah, and I mean, seeing the dynamic duo of Basil, one of the top 1-key players just in general, they did absolutely destroy throughout their United States C team in last year's 1K World Cup. One of the star players on that team, while Sleepy Maddie really needs no introduction. They have been renowned as one of the 1-key greats in this in the Joke scene. Well, although actually Sweden pulling up a bit of an early lead just sheerly off accuracy. Basil tripping behind a bit, maybe on these doublets, not really showing them much favor, especially with these long note timings you have to deal with as well. Not out of the woods just yet, only 99.7, but there's a break from Neon Dracon, who I was about to touch on saying had the higher accuracy compared to Basil, but they lost a full percentage from that break, and now the United States having a 10,000 point lead. But Maddie trades it back with a miss, but Diamond Blaze, oh my goodness.
Yeah, full combo reset on the side of Sweden. It was looking really good for them in the early going. The first half of that map was going very much their way, pulling a couple thousand points in terms of overall accuracy advantage, but then the breaks started coming through. Yeah, Maddie trading one of them back, but able to keep their accuracy above that 99% mark, and with Basil being the sole survivor in terms of FCs, it's going to account for 30,000 points of an advantage. And I mean, if it's going to be this close, this cutthroat for large portions of this match, then I think we're in for a bit of a show. Sweden really coming to play here, giving the United States a bit of a run for their money in the early goings, but the United States doing just enough to make it a 1-0 start in their favor.
Yeah, do not count Sweden out. They are the 9th seed, so they are seeded pretty low when it comes to the high-seeded teams. Even when compared to the United States being the 4th seed and the top United States seed. But yeah, a pretty solid first point on the side of the United States, and Basil with a 992, only 1-200, nearing that V1 double S. Well, Maddie, even though finding those drops, very solid scores, and same with the Swedish team as well. So getting the nerves out of the way. Insanely good ratios from all around the board. And yeah, like you said, it's not going to be exactly a one-sided battle. Sweden really gave the United States a run for their money, especially in the early game. So maybe when it comes to some of the more lesser dense classic picks, I'm thinking maybe like Classic 3 or maybe even Classic 2, it's going to be a lot closer, and it might even come down to just maybe who has the lesser amount of 300s or even the 200s, as these two are like these two teams have been so consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad you bring up Classic 3 and Classic 2. I imagine, yeah, they might actually go for one of these, and sure enough, Classic 3 going to be the pick here. Señorita Bonita going to be the choice for Sweden to start things off, and I can see this working in their favor. They weren't perturbed by any of the LN elements in Icicle, so you go into a bit more of a down-tempo, kind of an LN hybrid-esque style chart. Maybe they can show off some LN accuracy. We know both these players from their forays in like the 4-key World Cup, the mainstay one. And if that translates over here, we have seen it already with other players making that jump from 4-key to 1-key that are really good in their particular skill set, and it translating very nicely over to this side. Then the United States really has to be careful with how they're approaching these, dare I say, simpler structured maps.
Yeah, it's not a very easy frolic journey for the United States, as we did see in the fan pick. So honestly, this makes sense for the Swedish team to go for, as like you mentioned, pretty easy on the hybrid base side, but there are some points, or there are some choking points in this chart, especially when transitioning out of the main LN sections into some of those like denser rice sections. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So I think that's the one thing they really have to look out for. And here we go, underway with Classic 3. We're going to see Maddie, Basil, Diamond Blaze, and Neon Dracon all staying in for this pick. Very short map, so any mistakes will be crucial. And here we go.
Yeah, I think on average, a miss on this particular chart equates to about 15,000 points of score lost. If you have like a V1 double S run, we have seen 990Ks become 975s real quick, just off of simple mistakes. And through the introduction, everybody near perfect going through at 99.8, the benchmark between these two rosters. I feel like the real breaking point is going to be who transitions out of these LNs into that little triplet section, the little breakdown at the middle portion of this map, because so far nobody's really tripped up on these triplet gallops, and that's arguably one of the harder elements. So as I say that, Diamond Blaze actually picking up the miss, going into the back half of the chart. Here come the triplets. Nobody tripping on the first one. Nobody tripping on the second one. But Draco going to miss on the transition out of it. And a full combo reset for Sweden, going to give the United States a massive advantage to work with. I was mentioning 15,000 points get bled over 40,000 points, the margin for the United States going into this last quarter.
Yeah, you don't really have much map left because, like I mentioned, only a minute and a half. You don't really have much to work with. And even though Diamond Blaze absolutely crushing the accuracy, and same with Draco trying their best to keep their heads in the game, it's just one miss too many went to the side of Sweden, and the United States going to catch their first break point
what are these
of
ratios?
This match. And geez, man, everyone getting double-digit 300 counts. And I think even with, this would be tough if it was all V1SS's on the board. Would it still go to the United States?
101. It would have been by about 200-300s if everybody V1SS. Because 57-44. That's what, 101, right? I'm not that bad at math. And then 96. Oh goodness, I don't even want to do the math as to how close that would have been. It would have been inside of 1,000 points between these two rosters if everything went according to plan, but unfortunately not the case for Sweden. I gotta lick their wounds a little bit here, giving over that first break point to the United States and then wasting zero time going for, I'd say, the creature comfort pick of this pool. The title track, very much just a raw consistency test. Can you keep that 300 count as low as humanly possible? And we see the first substitution here in this match. It is going to be Dev coming in to back up Basil here on this particular pick.
Yeah, maybe the Era duo jumping in for this pick. Maybe Maddie not feeling comfortable with maybe just the sheer rice of this chart, or maybe just, I know Dev's an absolute rice legend in the side of 4K, so maybe, like I said earlier on in the stream, maybe those skills correlate to 1K. And I mean, it's not really the hardest thing in the world. You just have to learn how to hit one key. And maybe just Dev has the upper hand in accuracy compared to the other United States members. I'm surprised Sidosis isn't in for this pick. Maybe they might have overslept the match.
Don't believe they're here. I think earlier conversations in the IRC kind of alluded to that. Unfortunate, but I mean, to be fair, I think this United States roster has enough firepower to kind of deal with that. And I imagine with Dev coming in, it might just be more of a case of giving everybody a chance to play in this, because once we get into these harder pools, it really does become a bit cutthroat who has more comfortable on those harder picks. So while the pool is, dare I say, a little easier, we see Dev's playfield catch up with everybody else, or actually conversely, everybody else's playfield catching up to Dev, and we get this map underway. Again, the benchmark for these two rosters, it is crazy to see. I mean, I think most of the players from Sweden are in their first or second 1K event, and the fact that they're able to pull out these ratios on these early game pools is something to behold. Like, they were punching well above their weight in terms of their seeding, considering the fact that they're able to keep it this close. They just gotta put a consistent run together, and right now they are basically keeping this in check. It is a tug of war between these two countries as we transition on into the second quarter of this map.
Yeah, I mean, it is the difference of a singular 200. I believe Dev picked up a 200 earlier on in this chart, and I mean, all I'm seeing is raining 320s coming from Dev's screen. So the United States going to hang on to the slightest bit of lead heading into these more elongated streams, and Diamond Blaze is going to pick up the first break of this match. Not as brutal as what we've seen in the past. That's only going to bleed about 10,000 points of favor into the United States, building on that lead. But there is still the back half of this map to go. So do not completely count Diamond Blaze out, just as long as they can keep that consistency going. And I mean, there's still more of these nasty triplets that can definitely trip up a player if they are not careful. The simplest of patterns can definitely pretty much trip up any of these players, but I mean, oh man, it is just increasing for the side of the United States. 23,000 points now.
That's,
not even these changing of snappings isn't picking them up.
that's literally just off of the one miss from Diamond Blaze. Everybody else 99.9s. And I mean, to be fair, even with the miss, Diamond Blaze at 99.74. It's not an issue with the ratio. It's just an issue with holding on to combo. It is so punishing in 1K when you break, and especially if they're not getting traded back. You have situations like this where the United States picks up yet another point, makes it 3 off the rip here.
Oh man. 1995 and oh my god!
They tied. They essentially tied. That's insane.
Oh my god. What are you doing?
Okay, Neon though, 41 300s V1 SS.
Yeah,
997 outscoring
crazy.
Dev with that 1-200. I mean,
yeah,
don't
look
sleep
at
on this
Diamond...
team.
Yeah. I mean, look at Diamond Blaze too. You were talking about this earlier of just how one miss can pretty much throw the entire score away. A 973 with a ratio like that?
Yeah,
man,
it is.
Even that is brutal.
It is what it is. I mean, we like to poke fun at Standard for being a combo game. 1K is a bit of a combo game at the end of the day here. Getting those FCs sometimes is much more beneficial than trying to sharpshoot. And I mean, it's these tiny little things. If Sweden can put like, I'll keep harping on it until they get one. But if they can just keep a double FC, I feel like they have a really good shot of taking some of these points away from the United States. And they're gonna go for palm shots. So sticking with these hybrid LNS style charts and maybe some substitutions as well.
Yeah, probably gonna see Maddie return for the United States. And yeah, we see the wave from Maddie as they have entered the lobby. And the Kuba X also joins the lobby, but not showing up on the screen. So maybe just gonna have to get some swap outs. And Dracon does leave the lobby, so probably gonna see the Kuba X join in. And there they are. So gonna be a bit interesting on how this one will go. As like you mentioned, this is a kind of just going back into that hybrid-based pool, and I mean that's what the United States have stuck to. This, I mean, not the United States, Sweden has stuck to in this match, and I mean, seeing how close Senorita Bonita went, it just came down to that to those misses. So like you said, if it comes to a full, like, if the Swedish team can just pull off a double FC, the United States will have to make a run for it because it is going to be close, especially with those ratios.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the scoreline, and I think the MP link isn't going to do justice to how good Sweden is doing for, like, 90% of the map. It's like just little blips here and there, and it's so unfortunate because, like, with the level of performance they're putting out is enough to take points off of a lot of the other teams above them in their seeding range. But hey, it's not over yet. It's only 3 points, and they're more than capable of getting that breakpoint back, but definitely can't afford to go over a second one. Can they put the run together here? Gonna need to start on palm shot.
And here we go underway with palm shot. Classic for the hybrid-based long note, kind of hybrid-based chart in the classic pool. And ooh, the Kuba starting off pretty rough, already in the A rank range. But I mean, this map just started, but oh, a slider break, and in the 89 range. But like I said, this map just began, but this isn't a great start for the Swedish team.
Yeah, this one might be over before it really starts. Going into the second quarter of the map, both Basil and Maddie holding on to above a 99.9% accuracy. I mean, to be fair to Diamond Blaze's credit, also in that 99.9 range, but bringing in Kuba here, I imagine just to get them some experience at playing on the stage. Maybe a question of what could have been if it were Neon instead, but always nice to see players coming in to try their hand on the big stage, but down to that 86% range and a 200,000 point lead for the United States. We were talking about an opportunity for potentially getting the point back, but it looks like it's going to be a second break point for the United States, going to be making it a match point situation as we continue on here. And I mean, honestly, we can probably just look at the performances across the rest of the board. Diamond Blaze falling off their perch a little bit, down to 99.4 range going into the last quarter, but damage already being done. Both Maddie and Basil essentially mirroring each other in terms of their overall performance.
Yeah, I mean, Maddie just only a couple hundredths of a percentages behind Basil's accuracy, but it's just been insane to see this duo absolutely ripping these maps apart, and a synchronized miss from the Swedish team. Gonna close off this map. Gonna give a second breakpoint over to the United States, and gonna bring things to a match point situation and a double V1SS on the side of the United States. Wow, that is something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
wonderful.
also,
no, go ahead.
Also, just Diamond Blaze, the double 300 count, that is insane. And just wow.
Nearly catching Basil in terms of overall performance, just having those little extra hiccups there, and that's really been the tale of this match, where it's like they're maybe just like a half step behind in terms of the overall performing. And that's nice. I'm reading the IRC chat real quick. Diamond Blaze asking Kuba if that was a PB, and that was a PB by 3%. We love to see players improving their scores. I was saying it in earlier matches when it comes to players kind of getting into 1K for the first time. There will be a point where everything just clicks, and those scores are going to just skyrocket. And it'll be nice to see if Kuba keeps at it. They'll be able to start escalating those scores, B ranked today, maybe A ranks and even S ranks in their future, as we opt to go to Zekai no Juliet for the United States here.
Yeah, it always feels great to see these improvements happen throughout these players. And I mean, seeing Kuba getting a nice PV, even if it, even during a play getting it's not living up to the rest of the players, still great to see improvement. And who knows, maybe next week in the round of 16, Kuba will be just absolutely just tearing these maps apart. It's entirely possible.
Yeah, the skill boost in tournament is insane sometimes. We've seen it over the last couple of years. Players just coming in, like scraping in like 30-second seed, and next thing you know, like literally the next week, they're just giving people runs for their money. So as we wait to have the rosters lock in here, it looks like with the bracket kind of clarifying here, it looks like the winner of this match will face off against Norway next weekend, and the loser will face off against 66% Canadian. So I don't know about you, Sonny, but the potential of seeing Sweden going up against 66% Canadian is a very spicy prospect.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to get any home field advantage here, but I mean,
looking at Sweden's performance, I imagine it's like, okay, it's probably not gonna. I mean, it is an 8 versus 9 seed if it does turn out that way. So it's basically two very evenly matched squads, and we know Canada can pull out some pretty nice scores if they're playing maps that they're comfortable on. If they can sort out whatever technical issues they had in their match yesterday, I imagine they'll be able to stand toe-to-toe with Sweden once we get into the round of 16. But with that out of the way, another very close start here between Diamond Blaze, Neon, Maddie, and Basil. And I mean, we're talking as if though this match is already done. Sweden still has the opportunity to get some of these points back. They just need to take a tiebreaker at this point.
I mean, it is entirely possible. It's just the double full combo needs to be put in place. And I mean, right now the Swedish team is giving the United States a run for their money. They hit the burst, although Neo Dracon picks up a few 200s in the process. Not going to do much damage, as still less than 5,000 points of difference to work with here. There is still plenty of map to go in this 3.5 minute long chart. I mean, look at that Diamond Blaze competing with Sleepy Maddie. It's just Basil keeping the extra insurance on the accuracy on the side of the United States, as well as just Dracon falling a bit below than what they anticipated, trying to match up with Diamond Blaze. But hey, there is still map. It's not entirely over yet, and we're reaching the back half.
Yeah, it's very important. Like those 200s, we take those 200s. They could have easily been misses on those bursts. Very late hits trying to hang on to the transitions out of those sections. But the fact that it's 4 FCs still left on the table here means that they are in a position where if the United States finds a drop in this last third, they are in prime position to take this lead back. 10,000 points can evaporate in an instant if you aren't too careful as we get into this calm section.
Yeah, and here we go. Final quarter of the map to go. It is still just Neo Dracon needing to climb up, and I mean, it's still possible. Only a quarter left. There is plenty of time, but you really need to start minimizing that 200 count. And I mean, Sleepy Maddie and Basil still in that 99.9 range. Basil almost at the 99.97. I don't think misses are going to be much.
It would be close. It would be very tight at this point.
And I mean, oh, the map is starting to close out.
Oh,
everybody holding on. Oh,
that was the last major burst of this chart. It would take a lot to swing things over at this point. 12,000 points to margin, still within catching distance, but the window of opportunity is quickly closing, and it looks like the United States are going to be able to close this one out, make it a 5-0, and ensure that there's no more funny swaps here. The 4th seed stays at number 4, Sweden stays at number 9, and oh boy, what a way to close it out. I mean, 985 being the lowest score.
Jeez. Yeah, that is insane. And also that ratio from Basil, almost a 999k. Diamond Blaze getting the second best in the lobby. Everyone scoring below a triple digit 300 count, and also everybody getting an FC. It was just Dracon did fall a bit behind, but not by much. But yeah, man, if you're one of the members of 66% Canadian, you should be frightened by this team. Sweden, just because they got swept, that doesn't mean anything. That they're going to put one hell of an effort later on in the round of 16 bracket. But for now, speaking of which, that wraps up our round of 20. And here are the final results. Here is what you'll be seeing next weekend for our round of 16 matchups.
Yeah, I see some pretty interesting matchups. Sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah, I'm starting to see some insane matchups that I think are going to be pretty hype. But anywho, all that's left is that sweet showcase, which we will be, I don't know when we will be doing that. The sheet, I believe, says 21, but we'll keep you. Yeah, we will keep you all in check for that. But for now, I've been Sunny. Do you have anything else to close off this stream, Sparky?
No, I think you put a nice little bow on everything. We'll catch you guys in about 30 minutes. Gonna close up shop here, but until then, we will catch you guys later.
Take it easy. And then there were 16. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 1K World Cup 2025, presented by Joke. We all know what time it is. It is time for the round of 16 map pool showcase for the 16 teams that are left in this tournament. This is the moment you've been waiting for. All of the matches we've seen, the grand total of 2 upsets, and the exciting matches we have ahead of you, all before just the showcase. And commentating this will be me, Arasuni, and alongside with me will be Sparky. How's it going, Sparky?
Still going absolutely fantastic. It is nice to get the round of 20 over and done with. Can get on to the round of 16 here, and it's going to be interesting seeing how teams handle some of these maps. But without further ado, we can go ahead and get started. Same order as before. We're going to start things off with Classic number 1.
And it is going to be hide and seek used from Joke 2 round to 16. And it's also going to be the same format as well. It's going to be more, the 2 classic picks will be mainly, I would assume, Rice focused. Some being more LN and hybrid focused, and then one being a speed-based pick. But
yeah, something to that vein. This one being, as you mentioned, from Joke 2's round of 16, very much a much more difficult consistency test in comparison to something like the title track. You get the introduction of a lot more even spaced streams, which can cause quite a bit of an issue for folks that aren't used to starting and stopping on opposite hands. And overstreaming is going to be something to watch out for, very much so, especially once we get into these breakdown sections. You get a lot of these 2-note 1/4s that can kind of break up the single taps or the triples that you're very much used to seeing. And I feel like the teams that are going to be wanting to gravitate towards this are just teams in general that are very comfortable with consistent 1/4 streams.
yeah, I mean, and also there are a lot of really wacky transitions, and there's a pretty long stream, and some more as well to just keep you on your toes with some doublets and gallops that you really need to look out for. Was that a slowdown in snapping? Did that go from?
Yeah, we went from 1/4 to 1/3.
Oh, that's gonna be brutal.
Essentially, same motifs as something like Señorita Bonita from the round of 20 pool, where you have these like elongated 1/4s closing up into 1/3. Very much going to be at the forefront here. But the thing with this chart in particular is that it's very fair in what it's doing. There aren't any sudden transitions. If you're following along with the song, things are relatively one-to-one in terms of rhythmic-based interpretations. So you're not trying to like grasp at what's going on melody-wise. And just like that, that will do it for classic number 1 here.
Yeah, very short and sweet map, pretty much textbook Rice. We can move right on. Another Joke 2 map, this time bumping it up a bit. It's going to be Aqua Stars, this time not in the round of 16 of Joke 2. This is semifinals, so we're jumping it up just a bit. Bit of a LN beginning for this chart before we get into the main map. And oh boy, already opening up with a pretty nasty some doublets, some streams, and also some triplets sprinkled here and there, all alongside trying to release those long notes.
Yeah, turns out we're liars. We have no idea how these classic maps are arranged. I was looking.
I can tell you.
Yeah, I got a glimpse at the chart list a couple minutes before we started here, just so I had a bit of foresight here, not getting caught off guard by some of these maps. But yeah, it turns out I don't remember what some of these maps look like, despite actually playing this map in Joke 2. Very much a hybrid-esque 1/4 stream style chart. The lengths of these LNs just long enough to make you question how long you're supposed to be hitting them, but you can kind of get away with just playing them like rice notes. But I imagine there's going to be room for a lot of accuracy drops if you aren't too careful.
Yeah, I mean, it's like once you get the patterns nailed down to a T, it's just you really got to be careful with these longer releases. And then there's this ending section, pretty much the same as what was before, but it's appearing a lot more frequently. These triplets and these kind of like these LN streams kind of mixed in, but that's pretty much all you got to worry about. Very short chart, only around nearing that not even hitting the 2-minute marker, but there is just so much packed in that little amount of time. But yeah, that will wrap up Classic 2. We will jump into Classic 3. It's going to be Aeronautica. This is from Joke 3, the round of 16 pick.
Yeah, I remember during Joke 3, this was a nightmare to get consistent in. We get the very brutal introduction of 1/8 burst, and they do not play around. Transitioning out of those quick triple gallops can be the stuff of nightmares if you aren't too careful. I mentioned it during hide and seek earlier, where overstreaming can be an issue. This is very much the case on this particular chart, where if you struggled on the likes of things like Half Ghost or like icicles from the last pool, this is very much avoid at all costs. Remember, there are no bans, even as we move on to the next round. Yeah, very mean doublets to contest with as well. Very much a very polyrhythmic tech chart, without being like, we use tech in the sense of like, or at least I use tech in the sense of like, it's very hybrid-esque because you're mixing all the elements. And usually with these charts that I like to describe as tech, it's because it's very polyrhythmic in structure with these LNs and rice notes just littered throughout.
And also, just to mention, those bursts that you saw, those like very fast triplet bursts, good luck with that. Also, I think more or less you might be able to hit them, but it's just transitioning into these LNs that are going to be absolutely brutal. And yeah, once again, very short map, just under 2 minutes, but I don't like with Classic 2, there is so much jam-packed in just such little time. So I feel like out of all the maps, this one is going to be avoided the most. I know lots of people were picking Classic charts last round. I feel like they're going to avoid this one, but here we go with Classic 4. It's going to be Space Angel jumping back into Joke 2. This is going to be round of 16.
Yeah, this one I believe was one of the hybrids in that pool. And again, we get into these very strict polyrhythmic style of charts where it's 1/4 based, has its moments of 1/3 snapping, but again, kind of telegraphs where it's going, but is a little bit more interpretive in terms of overall rhythmic presence. Like, unlike stuff like hide and seek or aqua stars even, you are having to kind of take some stabs as to what the chart is wanting you to do. You're kind of filling in space that isn't there at times. It can feel like, based on prior experience. And you get into these breakdown sections, gotta ensure you're keeping that swing rhythm and respecting some of the 1/8, I think 1/6 bursts as well. And those can cap out at around 240 BPM, so can get pretty speedy at times. The 1/4 inside of the swing feel can cause some discomfort. The LN transitions into the rice, going back into these LNs can also be pretty tricky to read through as well. So definitely got to watch out for that. If it's going to be a close contest between Aeronautica and this one in terms of which one gets avoided more.
I feel like if you don't like physicality, Aeronautica. If you're not the biggest fan of polyrhythmic patterns, Space Angel. That's kind of like your flowchart on what you should avoid. Just if you don't like polyrhythm sections, avoid this. If you are not physically capable of hitting some of the more faster parts, avoid Classic 3 Aeronautica. But anyway, that will wrap up Classic 4. Moving on to Classic 5, it's gonna be something. I don't know how to.
One lot.
Okay, thank you. Salon Lot. Joke 2 once again. Round of 16. So we're sticking to mainly Joke 2 stuff. But you can see with Salon Lots a lot more rice focused than the last 2 classic charts.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, this was the speed map for round of 16 back in Joke 2. Very much straightforward. Basically a BPM jump from half ghost from the last round. I feel like some folks might find this one a little bit easier to read through. These triplet gallops aren't as, I guess, sporadically placed through the introduction, now kind of letting you get into the actual map before being faced with some of those difficult patterns. And because of the fact that they're nested inside of those 1/4 streams, you can kind of read through them. But when we get into the actual chorus, the actual drop here, you get them in more perpetuity, and ensuring that you're not, again, overstreaming these triplets is going to be very important.
And it just continues to go. Then if you haven't caught on, this is our kind of speed-based pick. It's a bit more friendly than what we had last round when it comes to BPM, but only by 10.
Yeah,
I believe the last map was 250. This is 240, so be grateful.
Yeah, be grateful as we hit you with much harder nested triplet patterns inside of these 1-4 streams. And it's like, hey, you like book reports if you're a percussionist? Have a ton of them. But a quick in, quick out once again, just shy of 2 minutes. And that will do it for the classic picks in this pool. As you might have noticed, only 5 again, so map pool size will stay the same. We move on to the old map. This one comes from the first joke, quarterfinals.
And there it is, the OD of 10.
Yes.
I was alluding to this last showcase when we did not have a joke 1 OD10 chart for our old pick, but it is back. It's going to be Got Noir forever. Joke 1 quarterfinals, and with tradition, in Joke 1, Jay always had stuff set to OD10.
Yeah, that obviously makes things harder. But as we begin this chart, we get into, I guess, what has become a staple of some of the Rice picks from like Joke 3, where you get these techie new wave jazz style of charts where it's not all just like 1/4 consistency streams. You're having to change snaps inside of streams pretty regularly. You do get these break sections, doublets, 1/8 bursts coming through into the 1/3, back into the 1/4s, just all over the place. And like you mentioned, on that OD10 actually does make it a bit of a pain to read through. You're not allowed to kind of lackadaisically like putter around with what you're having to hit at any given moment, because that is going to just tank your accuracy.
Yeah, and not only that, but also just your like more of a high liability to miss as well, I would assume, since the hit window is a bit tighter. But I feel like just absolutely, if you're just gonna, I guess, just like be your spacebar your entire way through this without really caring about like the speed that those streams can really go up to. Lots of 100s and even 50s. That's how insane OD10 is. But yeah, that is your old pick. Not very long of a chart, only over 2 minutes long. But moving on, we have our fan pick, and it is going to be mapped by Arpia 97. You wouldn't see Arpia as a 1-key mapper. You would see Arpia as more of a vibro mapper. Or they also indulge in other 4-key mapping. I believe they have some loved charts that isn't that giant vibro pack, but yeah, the one thing I wasn't expecting was a 1-key map from them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, fun fact, Arpia a participant in Joke 2 at the very least. I know that because I played against them in that tournament. And yeah, very capable. I think they single tapped their way through most of that tournament, for better or for worse.
I mean,
very much committed to just single tapping everything and getting some pretty nutty scores on some of the Rice picks during that tournament run. So, like you mentioned, not very common we see them delve into the 1-key mapping realm, but when they do, it's stuff like this where you get basically more of Got Noir Forever, where it's very interpretive in terms of the snapping lengths and some very fast patterns to read through.
And just, oh man, you do get a little bit of a break, and I'm using that term lightly, as there are still parts where you can definitely slip up on, and here comes a section where I think most players would find a choking point on these very fast streams that transition into that LN. And we get a little bit of an LN coordination here at this back half of the chart. Thankfully, the OD isn't 10, it's only 7, so you do get a more respectful hit window when it comes to those LNs, but Also, not a very long song, just less than 2 minutes, but still, I can see if you're not going to avoid the mainly speedy classic charts, I think most people would avoid this. And that will wrap up the fan section. On with the new charts. And our first one is going to be Cloud 9 by Grant Bowtie.
Yeah, I think is this a Monster Cat release? I want to say
it sounds like
it's a Monster Cat chart. I very much recognize the name Grant Bowtie, and I want to say this is part of it. But regardless, get into the first of the new charts. Very telegraphed start in terms of what you're meant to be doing. These 1/8 bursts, not, I guess, the most unfair to read through. There's a very forgiving 1-2 snap right afterwards to latch onto, and there's not much going on after that as we begin the build-up. Also, one of the longer charts in this pool so far, 3 minutes, or just over 3 minutes. So, in it for the long haul in comparison to some of the other charts as we continue on into this build-up.
It's kind of like water flowing, but instead of the Allen showing up late in the map, they show up quite early.
Yeah, I guess just a more, I guess, fair hybrid, at least so far, going into this.
Yeah, a lot more of these 1/8s showing up here.
Don't have to worry about those 1/4 LN streams. Can very much play those like rice. Doublets making their appearance once again into, oh goodness, these transitions from the 1/4, the 1/4 into 1/8 bursts. I can already see just taking people for a bit of a ride, and the fact that it just keeps layering on and on and on. You don't really get a break in the action until we make it to the halfway point. A very deserved break in the action. A lot of 1-2s as we begin the ascent back to what I imagine is going to be a pretty loaded outro.
Yeah, I would assume the outro is going to be a bit more frightening than what most people would anticipate, but who knows? As you do get a bit of a build up before you do reach the outro section. Mainly just some triplets, which transitions into some of these 1/8s. So nothing new, pretty much. But here it comes, and already at 1,000 combo as well.
Yeah, the most combo to play with in this map pool so far. I think everything else has been in and around like the 700 to 900 range. So plenty of room for recovery if you do find yourself having a bit of a rough intro. Definitely some comeback potential on this particular pick. These doublets are just going to be out for your full combo if you're on a very good run. I do want to touch on these 1/8 bursts into a quick doublet as well. People are gonna want to round those out. Please don't. It's gonna cost you the end of that stream, and not gonna be very happy at the end of it. But as we wrap up the first new map of this pool, I guess without further ado, we have something else that is new, and something that we all hope that you can parse through very nicely.
As we all know, since 2021, the Joke team has strived to have featured artist representation wherever possible. Jay, open bracket, as crazy as he is, close bracket, reckons that we make a chart for every single featured artist. But some artists are really hard to work with in 1Key. Either the style of song or the catalog itself doesn't lend itself well with the game mode. But some artists, as devilish as they are, only have one song. And you have to use that song if you want to showcase that artist. So with that in mind, here is possibly, open bracket, in Jay's opinion, closing bracket, the worst chart ever made, open bracket. Additionally, Jay will award a channel VIP to whoever discovers the chart gimmick first, close bracket. And that is a custom song by Zuna that will be null pars. But with that, hope you enjoy that custom song. For now, we will be moving on to our tiebreaker, and it is going to be our Stolen Theory United, remixed by LAOS.
Oh god, what a way to transition into what is arguably the most ubiquitous song ever made. It has transcended this game, and I can't believe it is going to be in the tiebreaker for round of 16. I hope you all are ready to kick some kids, man. Whatever copy pastas you have for this tiebreaker, I hope there are tiebreakers. Please. We need to hear this at least once. I mean, what else is there to say about this song? It is... This chart is probably very faithful to what is going to be happening in the song as a whole. There are some very, I guess, glitchy effects that happen throughout that I feel are going to get represented throughout this map. And we can already see it being very interpretive, some very awkward, odd to even space streams, some LN zone and just for good measure, just to ensure that you're not getting lazy with your tapping overall. And again, it's just going to, everything just kind of flows from one section to another. You don't really get a break throughout.
I mean, I'm already seeing some of the copy pastas in the chat. But I mean, going back to this chart, these bursts are something else. I mean, this isn't this isn't the kindest chart in the world. As you can see with these bursts, oh my goodness.
Yeah, we get the 1/8 interspersed with the 1/4 throughout, and the fact that these 1/8 bursts have LNs nested in them is very cool. The fact that some of them are at the start, some of them are nested inside of those bursts as well. If your spacebar or whatever key you decide to use for this game mode bottoms out at any point during, I mean, heaven forbid, during the LN of that burst, everything else is just going to spike, regardless of what you do there. And things kind of settle down a little bit, but still needing to maintain full focus as we continue on here.
Oh my goodness.
And still we continue on. Oh boy, we get even more 1/8 bursts and doublets as well. It is every single section in this. The song really doesn't have like massive, like climactic moments, but when it begins to really increase in energy overall, and the first miss of the showcase, would like to point that out. It's just ripe with different points of which you're just going to find yourself missing. And in the context of when you would be playing this, I imagine the nerves are at an all-time high with the caliber of players that are in this tournament. It is going to be very exciting seeing which teams, which people can hold their nerve and kind of just rise to the challenge of keeping this map as clean as possible, because once you start, you really just never stop. Things just get more and more complicated as we make our way through this outro.
Yeah, as usually, these bursts are just absolutely... I mean, 5 minutes in, the stamina is definitely going to wear out nearing the end of this chart, and oh boy. If any of you make it to tiebreaker, I wish you the best of luck. Especially with a map like this. But thankfully, not really many tricks up this map sleeve at the end. Just this one final long stream before the playfield disappears, the map closes, and the tiebreaker is up.
And with that being said, that will do it for the round of 16 map pool showcase. Definitely a bit of a step up in terms of overall difficulty. There are very few maps I feel most teams will feel comfortable getting double FCs on, or even like for the sharpshooters amongst the bracket V1 double S's on. Everything has its moments where if you're not paying full attention can just catch you out, and it's those moments where we were saying it throughout round of 20 where it's like singular mistakes are worth thousands of points, and it's gonna be very interesting seeing how teams measure up to this one. I mean, I say this knowing, of course, that whenever a bar has been set, everybody seems committed to breaking the bar and clearing it with the utmost of ease. So I'm sure I'll be eating my words. We're going to see a ton of 990k plus scores throughout the weekend. And with that being
who
said,
knows?
Yeah, who knows?
And who knows? Maybe we'll see an S rank on DT in the score posting channel.
Oh, well, we'll see one by the end of today, probably. Someone will DT
definitely.
this. They'll take that as a challenge. Yes, it's still going to be... Yes, go ahead.
Here is your round of 16 map pool up on screen. I'd reckon format stays the same.
Yes.
Alongside with the map pool format being the same. Map pool most likely already posted in the main sheet. So good luck with your scheduling, and most of all, have fun with the map pool. If you have any complaints, I don't know. Do something about it.
Do something. Okay. Practice.
Yes.
But just like go. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. You were gonna say.
Just yes.
Yes.
That's all. That's all we have to say for your complaints.
Yeah, so with that being said, schedules will be posted before too long. Please make sure you communicate amongst each other to ensure that every match gets played. I think we did a pretty good... I think we had full attendance this weekend, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
So kudos to y'all. No need to worry about double elimination starts now. If you lose next weekend, you are still in the tournament. You go down to the losers bracket, so no more one and done situations. Congratulations for making it to the round of 16. If you have any questions or have any issues scheduling or getting a hold of people, please contact one of the hosts for assistance. We want to ensure everybody is playing at a semi-reasonable time. Outside of that, that should take care of everything. Sonny, you got anything else left to add?
Yeah, I'll just say one last thing. Since there were a little bit of a different concept for the round of 20, we talked about seed stealing. I would like to give just a reminder. Since there were a total of 2 upsets, Mexico, I believe, will now be the 3rd seed going into the round of 16 for beating out China, which was the original 3rd seed. And as well, I don't know if this applies for the elimination bracket. We'll have some clarification later. If so, Taiwan will be moving up to seed 15 and from 18 after defeating Random States B. So just for any confusion, if you see your opponent be just a bit different from regular seeding from the qualifiers.
Yeah.
But with that wraps up everything. We can probably wrap up this stream now.
Yes, that will do it for us. Keep an eye on the Discord for any updates. And until then, good luck, have fun. We'll catch y'all later.
Take it easy, everybody.